Hey, this is Shanda from Pink Oatmeal, and I want to walk you through the tutorials section. This section is meant to help you with any of your digital or downloadable or printable questions that you have with Pink Oatmeal's resources. As you can see, there's a digital section, tips on using PDF files that are meant to be printable but using them digitally, and how to make it work for you both in person and digital, and also downloading and printing questions. So let's start here. This page really goes over the basics of getting your download from Pink Oatmeal. So it talks about the different ways to access the download and how you would download it. It talks about if you have an account, if you decided not to set up an account. Then it talks about printing and making sure you're using a PDF reader to print and not trying to print from the internet. And also some tips on how to print front to back, and also tips on printing multiple pages in one. And again, there's front to back. And then it talks more about digital stuff. So let's go over to the digital section. And this goes over all the different ways to use Pink Oatmeal's digital resources. So you're gonna get, with most of Pink Oatmeal's digital resources, a PowerPoint file, a PDF file, but you also can convert that PowerPoint into a Google Slides file to use in your Google classrooms. So what you want to watch and make sure of is that you know how to convert. So right here's a video on converting PowerPoint into Google Slides, if you're wanting to do that. It also talks about how these games can be played right in the PDF. So if you don't want to mess with PowerPoint, you don't want to mess with Google Slides, you can play them right in the PowerPoint. It also talks about if you're having trouble opening the PowerPoint files, some tips to make opening them easier. A lot of times when you open PowerPoint files, they'll open up and take over the whole screen, but you can avoid that, and that gives you some tips. I also talk about some screen sharing in Zoom and how it's done, and how to play games while screen sharing in Zoom. I'll give you some tips for opening on a tablet, and then again, we can look at more of these tutorials. So if you've bought any of the digital resources or plan to, this section helps you with some tips on those. And then finally, this is all about the normal printable resources, but how to use them digitally. And there's a lot of tips and tricks. So if you buy any of the task cards or exercise cards or anything like that from Pink Oatmeal, you can use these digitally. And you can select certain cards you want and other ones you don't want to use. And there's videos on how to do that and how to change them up to make it work for you, even if you need to add some kind of text, or if you only want to send a few pages. There's tons of tips on how to do this. So I highly recommend looking at the help section for any of your digital, downloading, or wanting to use PDFs digitally.